Erica with an A. Welcome to my channel where I give my lighthearted opinions and reviews on these crazy reality TV shows. Now you guys already know Married at First Sight is my show of choice, okay? Me and my husband watch it every week. So we're going to dive into this episode. I'm going to be real with you guys. At first, when the episode started, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, this is getting a little boring, okay? Like, I'm gonna need them to freshen it up for us because I was about to go to sleep, y'all. But then at the end, they gave us a little, drama, and so I started to really get into it at the end. So let's just get into it, guys. Like and subscribe if you like my video. It's a cheap and easy way to show your girl some love. And trust me, your girl needs some love, okay? So starting off, it goes to Noi and Steve. And they are still talking about Mr. Unemployed Steve, okay? Steve is a nature guy. He's kind of like a free spirit. He gives me that kind of hippie vibe, But he's also intelligent and he knows what he wants. Like, he wants to be a man that doesn't feel like he needs to work, right? He wants to make his money to survive and not necessarily have just the finer things in life. He's okay with just being a minimalist. And I feel him, but then I also feel Noi because girl came up rough, okay? She came up in a rough situation, so she deserves to have a man who, is going to provide for her. But anyway, so Steve said basically he's cool with cooking and cleaning and almost being like a stay-at-home guy. And hey, it's 2022, so anything is possible, but that ain't Noi. You know what I mean? Anyways, he says he's going to be a good partner to her. And, he's going to be down for the cooking and cleaning, all right? The housewarming's coming up, so they're kind of talking about what they're going to cook and that kind of thing. Noi wants to add some traditional things to the menu, and so I'm excited to see what she comes up with. Steve is also Asian or part Asian, so he also has ideas that what he wants to bring, like traditional dishes to the table. So I'm interested to see what they cook. All right. Now it goes to Steve diving into a little bit more of why, he wants to be a stay-at-home type of dude. And he's basically saying, hey, I'm trying to develop myself. And Noi's like, I get you, but what about me, right? You want to develop yourself, but hey, you signed up to be married. And I feel her on that. She just needs to know a game plan of Steve's. And me personally, I think Steve has it together. He has his own place, and it's a nice place, bigger than Noi's, right? Because Noi's staying in like a studio. So I think he has it together. He's just not explaining it properly. That's what I think, but we'll see. It goes over to O, and he's meeting up with a friend, Jeff, I believe his name is. Cute friend, by the way. And that's his married friend. You know what I mean? So the married friend is trying to give him advice on, what O's issues are and how he basically just needs to relax and not overthink everything, because I love him to death, but he's an overthinker. He's kind of like Mike, he overthinks things and he wants the perfect, situation, but Katina's just a regular chick. Like, she's not going to be the perfect girl for you, like, you're going to have to work with what you got. And so the friend's basically like, chill out, stay calm, and enjoy the process, okay? Now, he does bring up that Katina has a wild side, which I think we all knew Katina had a wild side. Like, she looks like Instagram chick. You know what I mean? Like, she looks like she goes to the club with her girls, and there ain't nothing wrong with that being single. Now, his friend was like, hey, have y'all consummated the marriage? And O's like, really? I'm trying to wait it out and see how it goes. I'm used to jumping into the sex, and I need to kind of back off and kind of enjoy Katina. And I agree with him. I think O is so used to being Isaac that he needs to experience a relationship that doesn't have sex involved yet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, do y'all feel me? Like, I agree with O. He doesn't need to have sex, because I feel like if O does end up having sex too early, he's going to be over Katina. Like, he's going to treat Katina like he treats every other girl. You know what I mean? So trust the process of O. I think I'm feeling him on what he's saying. Now, he does mention that Katina has a food blog. And so he's like, okay, I know she's used to going to restaurants and eating this unique food, and so I know she's not a big cook, but she does have a food blog. So in my opinion, I'm like, wait, so Katina, if you have a food blog, I feel like you know how to cook, right? Like you're more interested in the cooking as well. But that's just my opinion. I thought that was really like a little weird. But anyways, so then it goes to Mark meeting up with his friend, his bald friend. And he's basically like, I like how Lindsay, wants to help me, and I appreciate that. But she's a lot. And he keeps bringing this up because, hell, she is a lot. And boy, at the end of this episode, woo, I was like, who is this lady? Like, she flipped the F out. You know what I mean? But anyways, we'll get back to that. So he's talking to his friend, and his friend's like, I'm kind of shocked because usually you are head over heels in love with your girls that you date. And it seems like with Lindsay, you are kind of like hesitant and not really in love with her, which is strange because how you fall in love in about 2 days. And I'm like, damn, that means he really isn't feeling Lindsay. Like, I know she's annoying, but he's really not feeling her. Then he brings up to his friends about how outspoken she is and how she can be embarrassing at times. And Lifetime gave us the snippets of all the times that Lindsay was just over the top. And I forgot some of those moments. Like, even at the wedding, she just kept saying inappropriate things. So I thought that was hilarious when they did that playback, because it reminded me of a lot of what she's been doing on these episodes. Anyways, he's basically like, she's embarrassing in public, and so that really embarrasses me. And I get him. I understand, you don't want your spouse to embarrass you in public. You know what I mean? Nothing's more embarrassing than sitting there chilling with friends and your wife is saying inappropriate comments all freaking day. Like, I get it. He wants her to put a muzzle on it, and I agree. Like, how does Lindsay have a job if she talks like this naturally? You know what I mean? Like, what the heck does she say when she's working? That's really what I want to know. Anyways, now it goes to Jasmina and Mike. So Jasmina meets up with his sister. I'm a little concerned at this point because Mike literally meets up only with his sisters. Like, do you have some homeboys that could give you advice? Like, I love that your sisters are your number ones, but come on, dude. Like, do you have other friends? Are y'all thinking that same thing? Because I'm like, stop with the sister talk. Like, talk to some men. But anyways, his sister does give him good advice. She basically is like, you are an overthinker, and you need to stop overthinking, listen to Jasmina, and really get her understanding of it. You have to think about it. Y'all don't know each other. You don't know her past experiences, her past traumas and relationships. So you need to tread lightly. Okay. And I really liked her. I was like, she was dropping gems, people. She was dropping gems. She basically said, she's protecting her space and her peace. And so you have to remember that she doesn't know you. She doesn't know that you're a protector, right? So chill out. And so I did like his sister's conversation, but again, I need Mike to get some freaking guy friends, all right? Moving on to Chris. Now, I don't know why Chris and Alyssa are still being taped, because they said Chris says he wants a divorce, and I don't feel like Alyssa deserves to be on television at this point. Like, you're giving her what she wants. She still wants a storyline, and she don't deserve one. You know what I mean? But anyway, so Chris, it shows him going back home, with his bags, going back to his lonely house. It was sad. But anyways, he was talking to his mom on Zoom or some FaceTime and telling her about the situation. And he basically said, look, I am sad to tell my mom that I'm getting a divorce, but it just ain't work, right? And woo! I love Chris's mom. She kept it too real. You know, she kept it all the way real, and I really appreciated it. So he basically, hey, we got a divorce. It's just not a good situation. And the mom's like, look, she wanted her 15 minutes of fame, and that was it. She was not here for the right reasons. And I agree with you, Mama Chris. I agree with you, okay? Then it shows clips of Alyssa, basically in every conversation they have, getting up and walking away. Getting up and walking away. She cannot handle real conversation. And Chris was like, I couldn't put up with it anymore. And finally, I asked for a divorce. And he says basically it's, And he says basically it's probably a physical, you know, she's not feeling him physically. You know, she doesn't like what he looks like. And I couldn't agree more. I think that is the only issue she really had, was that he wasn't her physical, you know, which idea of a husband. And that's what I think it is. And, Chris's mama agreed. She said, yeah, it's probably physical. I'm like, his mama know that he's not the best looking. Like, usually your mama know, you know, your mama knows, but she's always going to have her son's back. But she was like, no, it's probably physical. And I thought that was hilarious. All right, moving on. So Katina meets with her friends, and the friend kind of dropped a bomb on us. Like, Lifetime, why didn't y'all show us all these clips? Like, I know y'all were waiting and holding out on us, but we needed to know this, okay? So the friend's like, hey, you know, when we met him, he talks a lot, you know, and almost like he talks so much so that we wouldn't ask him more questions. And when she said that, I was like, you know what? She may have a point. You know what I mean? Because that's how I am. Like, if I am in a situation where I don't really feel like answering that question, I kind of move on, you know, to another question, so that it kind of deflects from what they're talking about. And I think that's exactly what I was trying to do now that the friend brought it up. You know what I mean? Now, the friend dropped a bomb, like I said. She said that O told them that he has never dated a black woman. And I was like, Lifetime, did you set Katina up with one of those that don't date his own kind? Lifetime. Okay, why'd you do this? Anyway, so she said, well, you know, he is half Irish. And the friend quickly said, hold up, girlfriend. I feel you. He's half Irish, you know, he's biracial, but he's a black man. If he walked down the street, I would say he's a black man. You know what I mean? Like, don't pull the card. Like, he is a black man and he acts like a black man. You know what I mean? But anyways, so he doesn't date. He's never dated a black woman. I'm like, okay, because Katina's black. So how's this going to work out? You know what I mean? Were y'all thinking that? Because I'm like, how's this going to work out? Anyways, so I personally think, okay, and I may be wrong. You know, I'm not perfect. I may be wrong. But what I really think is that hold on, let me fix this. Because this not dating black women just made me a little upset. All right. All right, back again. Okay, so what I think it means is that the reason why they're not having sex, the reason why he ain't doing the do, is because he's not used to being intimate with a black woman. What y'all think? What y'all think? Put in the comments. That's what I think. I think he's not intimate truly with Katina because she's a black woman. He's not used to it. Not that he's not attracted to her, but he's just not used to it. He don't know really, you know, he doesn't feel as comfortable. That's what I think, y'all. Y'all, that's what I think. I'm sorry. Anyways, so going to Alyssa. Why is she still being filmed? I don't know. But anyways, going to Alyssa, she's meeting up with her friend that we've never met before because the friend didn't come to the wedding for some odd reason. But anyways, so the friend sits down with her and she's like, what's been going on? Like, what's going on here? You know, and basically she's like, hey, it didn't work out with Chris. And the friend's like, well, what happened? Like, what was the problem? And she's like, you know, First, it was the physical, which we all knew. Second was his friends, basically telling her that he's not really a good guy. Like, he has all these flaws. He may talk to you like a teacher, or he'll put his work before you, right? So his friends definitely scared her. And hey, we are all in agreement that he needs to rethink his friend group because they're haters, right? We all agree on that. But her friend cracked me up because she was like, so, you met his friends. He said all these crazy things. So when you were one-on-one with Chris during the honeymoon, like, how did it go? Like, did you figure out that he was actually the person that his friends are making him out to be? And Alyssa's like, well, we didn't have a lot of time to discuss it because, we weren't around each other a lot. And then Alyssa says the honeymoon location was very small. So there's no reason why Chris couldn't come to me with conversation. He just wouldn't. Y'all, is this girl crazy? Like, is she that delusional? Like, is she putting on for us, y'all? Like, what? What? And so, of course, I love Lifetime. They showed the clips, the truth, right? They showed Alyssa ignoring him every step of the way, not wanting to see him, not wanting him next to her, all the shebang, right? Because she wants to lie, but it's recorded. I love Lifetime. Kudos producers for showing us the clips to remind us, right? So I think the friend knows Alyssa. She knows her. And she knows that Alyssa's a little extra. And so even the friend was like, man, I wish I was at their wedding to get his side of it. But that is unfortunate. And if what you're telling me is true, then I totally understand why it didn't work out with you. Okay. So the friend's trying to, be a friend. But at the same time, she's like, look, girl, I know you complicated. So I wish I was at the wedding to see if this is the truth. Okay. All right. Moving on, guys. Moving on, because I hate talking about Alyssa. I think Lifetime does not need to have her on the show anymore, because she loves this 15 minutes of fame, just like Chris Mama said. All right, moving on to Jasmina. She meets up with her friends, and they're basically like, how's it going, girl? Meets up with one of her friends. They're like, how's it going? And she's like, I like Mike, but the trust is not there. I can't trust him. And we all already know last episode, Mike did a big lie, right? And said that he's never lived with a female, and come to find out he lives with two of them at the moment. But anyway, so I definitely agree with Jasmina. You can't trust him yet, and he's really not showing you that he can trust you. Like, that you can trust him. You know what I mean? Now, the friend kind of explains it in a way that she's like, well, hold up. Maybe he was nervous telling you he lived with women. Give him the benefit of the doubt, because you're a strong woman and you can be a little, judgmental at times, right? And so maybe he was nervous. Jasmina goes on to say, well, he always thinks he's right in every situation, even when he's not. And Jasmina's friend was like, girl, you do the same thing. And Jasmina's like, I do not do the same thing. And her friend was like, yes, you do. Right? And even when Jasmina was explaining it, she still said, basically, I don't even do nothing wrong ever. I usually always do the right thing. Girl, you are not perfect, okay? You're beautiful. You look like, a princess, but you ain't perfect, boo. You know what I mean? So she is a lot like Mike, and I didn't realize that until this conversation. Anyways, so moving on. Right now, it is time for the housewarmings, okay? So that's when each couple brings their friends over. They play games, eat food, and kind of talk about how's the marriage been going, right? So it starts off with Mark and Lindsay. And let's face it, we're all a little nervous because Lindsay, bless her, I don't know. Lindsay's mouth, she doesn't have a filter, and she legit, I've never met someone who legit doesn't have a filter. But Lindsay, So everyone's a little nervous. I'm nervous for Mark because you never know what she's going to say. All right. And so Mark is scared. But surprisingly, the games go well. Like, her friends mesh with his friends, and they look like they're having a good time. Now, you know how they kind of go off and have that one-on-one conversation with their spouse's friends. And so Lindsay's talking to his friends, and she's just basically telling him what's going on, how he kind of has distanced himself, but they're trying to make it work. And they are kind of shocked about that because remember, they mentioned earlier that Mark is really affectionate. He falls hard really quickly. And so it's almost like Lindsay already knows that he's not feeling her. You know what I mean? Then it goes on to Mark talks to Lindsay's friends, and he's basically like, guys, give me advice on Lindsay, how to communicate with her, like how to tell her to back off, like she's being too much, like how do I communicate with her? And guys, I love Lindsay's friends, but y'all didn't give him no advice needed. Like y'all gave him nothing. Y'all gave him very generic advice. And all that advice is great when you're dealing with the average person. But when you're dealing with a woman like Lindsay, you need to give him real advice. I mean, advice that he really needs. You know what I mean? Like you gave him such generic advice like, well, just be patient and, you know, tell her, hey, you're doing too much. I need a little space. He can't do that with Lindsay. He can't do that with her. But anyways, so going on to Noi and Steve. So Noi and Steve, they meet up with their friends. They're having great banter together. They're joking about how they basically gave each other the exact same gift at the wedding. Both of them gave each other like a scrapbook that they can fill with memories, which I thought was cute and showed that they do have a lot in common. Now, the friends talk about, you know, any hardships they're having, that kind of thing. And Steve mentions basically that Noi is very firm on wanting 3 children. And you could tell both the friends were like, okay, 3 children, all right. You know, they just took it as a joke, but Noi is serious. Like, she only wants 3 kids, not 2, not 4, 3. So everyone's joking about it, but I think Noi is very serious. You know what I mean? But anyways, so they said, okay, Steve, she wants 3 kids. That's her mandatory requirement for this marriage. What is yours? And basically Steve's like, look, I'm going to go with the flow type of guy. I don't really have major expectations. Like, it is what it is. Now, so her friends take Steve into the back room to have that one-on-one conversation. And Noi stays in the living room and has the conversation with his friends. I always wonder about, can they hear each other's conversations? Because I know if it was me, if I was in the house, right, and I knew that my friends were having a conversation with my husband in the next room, I would be kind of listening to see what they're talking about. Wouldn't y'all? But anyways, I digress. All right, so Noi brings up to his friends like, hey, I really like Steve. He's great. The only thing is that unemployment. Like, I'm worried, will he be able to provide for us if we have kids? Because he's not really into working a 9-to-5 type of situation. Then her friends bring it up with Steve as well. Like, hey, you seem like a great guy. You know, Noi did bring up you ain't got no job. Like, what's your plan? And he still gave this like generic answer like, yeah, you know, I'm just, you know, I have my goals and yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll be taken care of, you know. And so her friends kept reminding him like, you know, she doesn't want to be a sole provider. Like, she wants a man to take care of her and the family. And he's like, yeah, I got it. And I'm like, Steve, I believe Steve will take care of his family. But I think Steve needs to elaborate on his plans. You know what I mean? Tell us exactly what you're going to do. That's what she's looking for, a game plan. And Steve keeps dancing around those conversations. So I don't know if he doesn't have a game plan or he's just not wanting to tell us the game plan yet, but that's what Noi's looking for, boo. Okay? All right, so Jasmina and Mike, I love that they have finally gotten to a happy place. Like, whatever Pastor Cal told them worked. Pastor Cal said, move on, start fresh. And that's exactly what they're doing. Jasmine is smiling in the kitchen, laughing. They even cracked a joke like, woo, thank goodness we talked to Pastor Cal before our friends came over, because this shit was going to be a little awkward, you know? And so I'm glad to see it. I'm so sick of them bickering back and forth about such small issues. You know what I mean? So game time looked fun. Their friends asked them, hey, how's the marriage going? And Jasmine answers and says, hey, you know, at first it was great. Honeymoon was rocky. We had a lot of conflict. But then now we're back to a good place. We're starting over. We're refreshed, right? And so the friends were like, that's awesome, awesome. Of course, Mike brought his sister as his friend because he has no friends. He just has his sisters, I guess. So the sister goes to talk to Jasmine in the back room about just how's it going. And his sister was so sweet. She was like, you're such a strong woman. This is what he needs. And I love y'all's relationship, and I hope it keeps continuing to grow. The sister was a little worried at first because the last conversation she had with her brother was like, it ain't working out. But now she's like, okay, I'm relieved y'all are happy, and this is a beautiful thing. Now Mike sits down with her friends, and they're basically like the same thing. Like, they're happy to see them back on track. And, you know, he asked them, hey, what's something I can do to gain Jasmina's trust? And they're basically like, be patient and listen. Stop responding quickly without listening first. Get to a resolution, because both of them like to go back and forth. No, you did this. No, you did this. Da, da, da. And they don't get to a resolution. So that's her friends gave the best advice. Is just be patient and listen. Okay. Now, another thing Mike's sister did say was that she appreciated that Jasmine understands how to say no. And she has a strong personality and a strong woman. And I agree. You don't want to be a yes man to your husband like Katina is. Katina's a little yes man. But you don't want to be a yes man. It's 2022. You want to have your own opinions. You want to be able to be outspoken and say what you want. And so I feel his sister. His sister's like, I love that you are willing to say no. In fact, she brought up a joke like, if y'all were at a restaurant and the food came out and it was the wrong thing, Mike would have been like, okay, whatever. But you would say, take it back to the kitchen. You know what I mean? And you need those kind of people in your life. Because I'm kind of like Mike. When my food comes out and it's wrong, I'm like, well, I guess I can eat this. Like, it's not too bad. It's not too off, you know? And I've learned as I've grown that I need to speak up for myself, you know, in those situations. So I definitely understood what the sister was talking about. All right, going to O and Katina. So O went to the store to buy some fried chicken for their friends. Katina quickly put it on the plate. And then when O's friend walks in, he's like, ooh, who cooked the chicken? And she's like, me. And I love how O went along with it. You know, like, yeah, my baby cooked it. Even though, you know, she went to the store about it. And boy, I do that every Thanksgiving, so I'm not even hating. Anyways, so her friends come in. And now remember, her friends don't really like O because he made a bad impression. You know, he came off kind of like talking too much, giving these answers that aren't really genuine. And so they were like, I don't really know about O, right? So they banter back and forth, and then finally her friends take O into the living room to have a one-on-one. So the friends are like, you know, how's it going? O's like, it's going pretty good. And he kind of reassures them that he's in it for the right reasons. I thought they were really going to grill him more than they did, so I was very surprised. The first thing they say is, okay, is she doing her wifely duties? Like, how do you feel about her as a wife? And I thought it was so funny how he was like, she's put in effort. I'm like, oh, give something else. He's like, she put in effort. And they're like, no, she's really putting in effort. Like, she's really cares about you. She's really trying. And he's like, yeah, effort. I was like, oh gosh. Anyways, But they said, is she holding back from you? And he's like, yes, I do feel like she's holding back. And they're just like, hey, be more vulnerable with her and she will open up at some point. The friends, basically say you need to stay calm and, just be open with her and give her the opportunity to be a good wife because she's learning. Okay. Now, O's friend meets up with Katina, and he's like, hey, how's it going? And she's like, it's going good, but O can be a lot. His personality is over the top sometimes, and his friend is fully aware. And he's like, my best advice I can give you is to stay calm, okay? Because we already know O can be a lot. His friends know it too. So he's like, stay calm when he's, being over the top, and then he will calm down himself. And I get the advice. I do. But at the same time, it's like, so is she not supposed to say anything and just wait for O to calm down? Like, is that really healthy? You know what I mean? Like, after a while, Katina's going to explode. She can't be calm and not say nothing forever. But anyways, all right. So after the conversation with O, her friends felt a little better about the situation. Like, they're like, okay, we're realizing O may not be as bad as we thought, right? He may not date black women, but he may not be as bad as we thought. And so you can tell their idea of him has gotten better, okay? Going to Noi and Steve. Now, it gets a little weird, okay? So I'm gonna break this fight down as best as I can because it's strange. Okay, I'm gonna try to see if I can get both sides here. All right, so Noi agrees that she's going to cook for them, okay? This is the first time Noi has cooked for them. So in the last 2 weeks they've been together, Noi has not picked up a plate or a skillet or nothing, okay? So Steve has been making all the meals. So she finally picks up a fork and she decides to make noodles for both of them. So she's making her own noodles in her own pot and Steve's noodles in another pot. So Steve's hungry. You could tell he is hungry. Okay, he's in the back room waiting for those noodles to be done. Okay, so Noi's cooking her noodles. They're done, right? And he walks into the kitchen and notices that his noodles hasn't even been started yet. So he mentions, hey, you still cooking my noodles? And she's like, yeah, calm down. Stop complaining. I got you. Okay. So he goes back in the room. Then he comes back out a few minutes later because noodles do not take that long to cook. So he knows at this point his noodles should be done and he's hungry. He comes back in the kitchen. The noodles are overcooked, almost to where they're mushy. And I don't know about y'all, but I can't eat no mushy noodles. You know what I mean? I can't do it. But anyway, so the noodles are mushy and he's a little heated at this point. Just a little annoyed. He's not just angry like, Hulk. But he's a little annoyed. You know what I mean? So he goes and he's like, they're overcooked now. It's boiling over, Noi. You didn't pay attention to my noodles. And so instead of Noi apologizing and saying, hey, maybe I'll make you a fresh batch of noodles or you can eat my noodles or something like that, she gets angry and she packs up some belongings and takes her dog, Sushi, and they head out the door. And I'm like, wait, did we miss a part? Like, did he go off on you? Or did he throw the noodles on the ground? Like, what happened to where you walked out of the door? Anyways, so I'm thinking, okay, she walked out the door, but she's going to come right back or something like that. No, guys. No. Noi goes to her apartment and stays the night. Then the next day, and I mean later that day, she comes back. She hasn't called Steve. She hasn't texted Steve. Nothing. Doesn't say where she's going. Nothing. And I'm like, Noi, you are my favorite. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, if you don't like Steve or he's pissing you off, have a conversation. But to just walk out over something so small like noodles? Anyways, so she comes back the next day and Steve's ready for the combo. Like, he's like, let's talk. So he sits down and he's like, I'm not understanding what happened. Like, I don't know why you're angry with me. You just walk out. You don't tell me where you're going. You're gone all night long. You're my wife. You're not some girl. You're my whole wife out here in these streets. Then she says he goes on social media and she writes this long little screenshot of how you should be able to say no. If someone's doing you wrong or something like that, you should be able to say no, stand your ground. And he's like, was that about me? And she's like, well, yeah, it was about you. It was about the incident last night. And he's like, about the noodles? She's like, yes. I spent the time to make your noodles. This is the first meal I'm making you. And you complain about them. And that really made me mad. And I get it. I get it. If, and only if, you were making like a real meal. You know what I mean? Like, if I was slaving in the kitchen, cooking greens and some chicken and some mashed potatoes and some mac and cheese, and I'm just cooking this gourmet meal, and then my man walks in like, it's overcooked, then I would be upset. You know what I mean? Because he saw that I put in the effort, and now he's complaining. But you made noodles. Like, just make some more noodles, girl. They only take about 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, okay. So he's like, okay, look, you over here making social media posts. You're not telling me where you're going. Like, this is unacceptable. I will not accept this. And voila, Steve made his boundary and he's sticking to it. And I love that. Make your boundary, Steve, because you ain't going to be walking out over some petty arguments. We need to have a conversation. You know what I mean? So Noi still had this kind of stuck-up attitude about it. And she's just like, I get it, but I'm not you. And I'm like, Noi, could you be a little childish? And I didn't even peep it. But then when I started thinking about it, like, actually, she is childish, if y'all think about it. Because she thinks she can have 3 kids, not even thinking of the logistics of it. You know, she's saying the dog has to sleep in the bed, not moving on that, not budging. So maybe she is a little childish when dealing with compromising. What y'all think? Put in the comments. Let me know. All right. So now it's time to go bowling. All right. As a group. So everyone's going bowling. And I mean everybody. Chris is going to come. Alyssa's going to come. The gang is coming. Okay. So Noi's a little worried because she's already gotten this big argument with Steve. She's trying to put on her best face, and get through this. But in the back of her head, she's like, ugh, I'm still angry with Steve and I have to fake it. But at least they're faking it till they make it, okay? Because that's what you got to do. That is marriage, y'all. That's marriage. You're going to beef with your husband. He's going to get on your nerves. And then your friends are going to come over the next day or a family function. And you got to put your grown-up hat on and carry on, okay? And that's what Noi and Steve did. All right, so they're at the bowling alley. And they have a conversation about the toilet seat being up. And Katina's like, hey, I just want to let y'all know, my man don't leave the toilet seat up, and I love it, okay? And so then each couple kind of gives their opinion. And Lindsay don't know when to wait her turn, right? She stands up and wants to give this grandiose conversation about toilets. And wants to basically put Mark down in front of everybody and say that he pisses all over the toilet. And they're like, calm down, Lindsay. Please let everyone speak, okay? Steve is still trying to explain his story, okay? So finally, Lindsay sits down. Steve explains his toilet seats conversation. And then Lindsay adds that she can't stand it. And it reminds her of boo-boo spray. You know, like the shit spray that you spray to relieve the stench. And I'm like, okay, what's it have to do with anything, Lindsay? But anyway, so it was like awkward music, and everybody was kind of like, here Lindsay goes with this shit, right? Anyways, so they ignore her, and the next question is, well, actually, they don't ignore her. Just Chris and Alyssa walk in. And you know everybody's been dying to see what the heck's going on with them. So they kind of move on, right? So Chris and Alyssa sit down, and they say, and Lindsay says, so how was everyone's conversation with Pastor Cal? Right? So each couple is kind of giving what Pastor Cal told them. So O and Katina, basically Katina's like, look, Pastor Cal said I'm okay. It's really O over here. He's being extra. He needs to work on himself. Okay, then it goes on to Jasmine and Mike, and Jasmine basically says, look, Pastor Cal told us that we need to, get our ish together, if you know what I mean. We need to get our stuff together and reset, and that's what we did. Then Lindsay made a comment about how she feels that you can't have intimacy without conflict. And I'm like, what kind of toxic relationship advice is this? She's saying you can't be intimate without having conflict first. That makes no sense to me. No sense at all. I don't even know why she said it, but everyone ignored it like they usually do when Lindsay says off the wall stuff, okay? All right. Then while Lindsay's talking, her arch nemesis, Katina, kind of rolled her eyes. And I mean, Lindsay does it all the time too. When people are talking, she likes to make faces too. But this time, Katina's like, rolls her eyes. And Lindsay calls her ass out. She's like, why are you rolling your eyes at me? And Katina's like, I'm not doing this with you on camera. Girl, mind your business. Get out of my face. Right? Now, I'm kind of in agreement with Lindsay on this. Because I feel as though Lindsay's just saying, okay, I'm trying to talk and you're rolling your eyes at me. I ask you why. So I don't see Lindsay really doing anything wrong. Did she really need to confront Katina? No. But did her confronting her, was it a bad thing? Not really. You know what I mean? Like, that's just Lindsay. She's going to call it out, right? You can tell they show Mark and he's like, getting all angst up, like, here she goes again. She's getting into it with people. This is making me uncomfortable. But she didn't really do anything that bad, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Okay, so moving on, Alyssa and Chris are there, remember? And they're about to tell the whole group that they're getting a divorce. Which, let's face it, the whole group already knows that Chris and Alyssa are divorcing. All right? Come on, they live all in the same apartment complex. But anyway, so they're like, hey, Chris and Alyssa, how's it going? And basically, Chris just says, look, it just didn't work out with us, and we decided to divorce. No one was shocked. Like, no one was like, what? Like, everyone was just like, oh, okay. Because who's shocked? Like, they know she wasn't feeling him, O even said when he was in his confessional, look, he don't even really feel bad for Alyssa. He really feels bad for Chris because he knows Chris put his all. Now, Alyssa, oh, Alyssa. So it's Alyssa's time to kind of explain. And she's like, yeah, it's just really unfortunate because I put so much effort into this. And it just really is sad that it didn't work out. And she goes, does a little tear, wipes the tear. And everyone can see the bullshit. Like, everyone's face is like, girl, what effort did you put in? Like, stop lying. Stop lying, girl. But anyway, so she says she put in all this effort. The team knows it's fake. She does a little crocodile crocodile tear, not even tears. It was like one tear on the side, probably from her mascara. Like, it wasn't even nothing. And then they kind of ignore her and move on, okay? Now, they start bowling again, and Lindsay and Mark have a conversation, right? This is where, this was the highlight of the episode, y'all. Highlight of the episode. In fact, it was such a highlight, I'm going to drop what the heck Lindsay did right now. Because I'm floored, and we'll talk about it in just a minute. Here we go.
I don't stay low. I think I'm done. Because my husband's idiot. Like, I'm sorry you're not a strong man and you can't speak up right now because your life is in crisis. But I am accepting you for all your flaws. And not once are you congratulating or thanking me. I mean, real talk, you make 60 grand a year selling gym memberships. Okay, simmer down. All right, little boy, let me teach you how to be a big badass bitch.
She gets like this when she, I don't know, when she has a couple of drinks, I feel too. It heightens her confidence. Right. And I feel like the whole group could feel it the whole night. Like when she talked, I'm like,
Oh, yeah. Ever? No. I hate my husband. I'm sick of dealing with his bull. He's a pathetic loser. I'm all in until I'm out. And then when I'm out, you never get me back. Tell me one other wife that would deal with it and that would be okay with supporting you through this. It ain't Alyssa.
Okay, so we're back. So let me tell you how it started, okay? So Lindsay is sitting down with Mark, and Mark's like, you did it again. You know, you're embarrassing me in public, right? And she's like, how did I embarrass you? And he's like, well, when Katina rolled her eyes, you just had to comment. This is a girl that you've already had conflict with, and you kept commenting again today. He's like, I'm sick of the confrontations that you have with people. It's embarrassing. I told you that. Lindsay's like, look, dude, I'ma still be me, basically. If someone's rolling their eyes, I'm going to confront them. I'm not scared to do that. That's me. And Mark's like, I'm tired of you doing that. Like, it's getting on my nerves. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to walk away. Like, I'm going home. So what does Lindsay say? She goes, well, call your mom because the door won't be open tonight. And then he was like, oh, go have another drink, Lindsay. And I'm like, oh, they sound like an old married couple, y'all. You know how it is. When you married, you know all the things to say that's going to piss the other person off. That's exactly how they sounded, like an old married couple, y'all. Okay, so then Lindsay goes to the restroom, right? And production follows her. And the producer's like, what's going on, Lindsay? She's kind of crying, but also super pissed that Mark is bringing up another issue with her. And she goes off. And that's what you heard, guys. In case you didn't watch the clip, let's go over the insulting things that Lindsay said. All right. First, she says that he's not a man. Okay. Then she says he only makes $60K a year as a gym membership manager. So then she calls out his income? Lindsay, that's wrong. I haven't seen that in Marriage History site where they literally call out the income. Usually people have enough respect to not bring an actual amount. You know what I mean? It was bad. Then, let's see what else she said. She said, little boy, let me teach you how to be a badass bitch. She called him a pathetic loser. She said he has a roach-infested apartment. I'm sorry. She said he can't even make me come. Guys. Okay. Then she said, I just need an orgasm. She says, more, guys. She says, more. She says, and he has small balls. And he has nothing. He should just go live with his mom. Lindsay. I don't even go off on my enemies like you went off on him. So while she's doing this, Mark is talking to Chris. And basically Chris is like, it seems like she has an impulse problem. She needs to control that. And Mark's like, yes, she keeps embarrassing me in public. And he could hear Lindsay going off in that restroom. And truthfully, thank God he didn't hear all the things that she said, because he would have divorced her that night. But when this plays back and he hears all the things that she said, even if they stayed married, he would divorce her after that. because she went in. And how I personally feel is Lindsay's the type of person to do things nice for you. Like, she'll do nice things. She'll help you when you need to move. She may even give you some money to help you. But what she does is she keeps a tally of it. You know what I mean? And so if you betray her in any way or do her wrong in her eyes, she will flip that on you and let you know all the things she did for you. She's that type of person. So, ooh, Mark, watch out. Watch the F out. You know what I mean? Anyways, that was the end of the episode. I am dying to see how Lindsay and Mark get past this argument, because I have never on Married at First Sight history seen someone go off on another person like she did with Mark. Woo! It was hot. And the episode was boring, y'all, until that, maybe about, 15 minutes? It got juicy. So, guys, come back next week. We'll dive into it a little more on the next episode. You know, I love these reviews, y'all. So, be sure to like and subscribe. Follow me. Do all you need to make sure that we connect next week for this next episode. I love you guys. Good night. Before I go, y'all be safe out there. I'm praying for the people in Ukraine. I mean, right when this episode ended is when we heard news that the war has begun, y'all, right? Russia has striked in the Ukraine, and this is crazy. So I pray for all of you guys, and hopefully we can make it through this. But it's a scary time, y'all. I know tomorrow I'm playing the stock market. I'm putting some puts in. You know what I mean? If y'all do it, if y'all are in the stocks, y'all need to do the same thing, because it's about to go down. All right? Follow me for more content. Love you guys. Good night.